DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Let's talk about what you do with your, what we call dead time. Dead time is the time like right now. Like I'm driving to pick up some food, go to the grocery store. This time between when I leave my house and the time that I get to where I'm going, I can do whatever I want with this time. I could be, usually when we're in our cars, what do? Some people just drive in silence. Sometimes if you got people with you, you're talking to them. Some of us will listen to a podcast. You might listen to some music. You might make some phone calls. But this dead time exists in many different areas, many different aspects of our lives. Like, for example, when you're getting ready in the morning and you're going through the routine of getting yourself dressed and grooming yourself and shaving and doing your hair and all the stuff you do in the mornings, getting the kids' lunches ready, whatever it is that you do on a daily basis. It's so routine because you do it over and over again. You don't really have to consciously think about what you're doing. So your brain is free. Your hands might not be free, but your brain is free. What are you doing with that time? That's what we call dead time. And also there's other times too when you're doing other stuff. Like, for example, when I'm after I run, sometimes I'm doing my icing and stuff like that. I got time where my hands may not be free, but my brain is free to do whatever I want with it. What are you doing with that time? And the point is, what we do with dead time and what people do with their dead time will tell you a lot about where they're headed in life, and it is a leading indicator of where people are going to end up. A leading indicator is basically what are some signs that someone's going to end up in a certain place, whereas a trailing indicator is what are some things that when you look at this, it's obvious what this person was doing before that. So leading indicator is like, these things lead to this, and a trailing indicator is these outcomes are representative of that. So what are you doing with that time for yourself? When we think about looking at our phones, and I was thinking about specifically what we do with our phones when it comes to dead time, because we always have them with us. So we always got different forms of dead time at different times. What are you doing with your phone when you have time on your hands? What are you looking at? Are you scrolling through social media feeds? Is looking at random stuff of other people's lives and stuff that's basically time wasters for you to just kill that dead time? It's already dead, but you're using that time and basically killing time. Are you doing that? Or are you taking that same time and listening to a few minutes of an audiobook, another chapter of an audiobook, or you listen to a podcast that's going to help you get that next business deal that you're trying to do? Or are you making a couple of business phone calls that you can get done really quick, or returning a couple of calls that's only going to take you 2 minutes apiece? What are you doing with that time aside from, again, are you killing that time, or are you actually using that time productively and usefully? Because again, the better we use that dead time over time, it can make a big difference in our lives. I was listening to this personal development seminar the other day, and the guy said, listen, most people have commutes to work. I know some of you work from home now, but those of you who commute to go to work every day, whether, I don't care if you're on public transportation or you're driving in a car, even when you're on an airplane, another good example, sitting in the airport waiting for your flight to take off, waiting for your baggage after you get off the plane. In that time, if you add up all that time over the course of a year, you could listen to, if you're listening to audiobooks, you could read, quote unquote, 10 to 50 books, depending on how fast you listen to them and how long the books are. You could take several courses. You can take a course, like the course, go over that same course 3 or 4 times, because you're going to hear different stuff the third or fourth time you go through the course than you heard the first time that you went through the course. If you're writing a book, you could write a book. If you get on airplanes enough over the course of a year, if you take the train or the bus to work every day, there's a lot of stuff that you could do productively and a lot of stuff you can do educationally over the course of a year, even over the course of a month, if you start using that time in a disciplined, structured way where you have a strategy as to how you're using your time. This is, again, these are the leading indicators of what people end up, where people end up based on how they use their dead time. So since all of us have this message is relevant to everybody who's listening to this. Even if you're a person who doesn't commute to work. Like, I don't commute to work. I work from the desk in my home. I work basically from home. If I do go somewhere for work, I can walk there. And if I drive there, it's rarely. But the whole point is, I got dead time right now. What I'm doing with this time is making this video to talk to y'all. If I wasn't making this video, I would probably be I'm listening to an audio program right now. You can't see it, but I'm listening to an audio program that is all about business building and business development. And in this time, even if my ride is only 15 minutes here and 15 minutes back, that's 30 minutes. I put it on 2x speed. I could take in 30 minutes of learning about business development that I otherwise wouldn't have had to use if somebody else is using that time. And you listen to a mixtape from some rapper. And listen, I like rap music. I like music just like anybody else. But which one is going to get me where I want to go a year from now? The business development or listening to some rapper's mixtape? And these are the value proposition questions that you have to make. You got to make value judgment is a better word, not proposition. Value judgment questions that you have to answer for yourself, because these little disciplines, they add up over time. And all success is in life is just a bunch of disciplines combined together, strung together over time. Just like I talk about in my book, The Third Day. Those separation days, you put enough of those separation days together, it becomes a big separation between you and the people who weren't doing the same thing you were doing. And all failure is in life, or mediocrity, which can be failure for most people, relative to your potential, is what? A bunch of bad errors in judgment, errors in discipline, combined over time. The separation day is the same thing. Separation can take you forward, it can take you backward. So what are you doing with these little opportunities, these little gaps that you have on a daily basis? Like just today, for example, before I came out here to go pick up this food, I was putting a bunch of stuff in I was working on my CRM. I was just putting some lead information in there, just catching up on some stuff. It was stuff that I've done so many times, I don't really have to think that much about doing it. And it's stuff that my assistant handles, but some stuff that I do myself. So while I was doing it, I'm listening to material that I got queued up on my iPad that is basically giving food to my brain. Basically, I could have took that time and I could have been consuming some nonsense. I could have been consuming some some entertainment material that's not really going to do anything for me. But you could use that same time for growth material. And you don't always feel like doing it when you first start doing it, to be honest. Sometimes I want to be entertained too. And I'm not saying I never consume entertaining material. Sometimes I listen to some funny stuff or some stuff that's not really going to do anything for my overall growth, but it's funny or it's entertaining. So I listen to it because I like it. But over time, we got to make those decisions that are going to help us in the long run, that are really going to pay us back in the long run, as opposed to the stuff that pays us now. It's like the difference between eating candy and eating a good meal with some vegetables on the plate. Which one is going to help you in the long run? Now, of course, we know the candy feels the best in the short term, because who doesn't like candy? Everybody likes candy. But it's the stuff that's going to pay us back in the long term that matters the most. And these are the disciplined decisions that I'm talking about. And the better that you can condition yourself to make these decisions consistently, the better you're going to be in the long run of your life. And I'll just leave it at that. So with that said, text me to get my daily motivation message to your phone every day. My number is 305-384-6894. My next live event is called Work on Your Game Live. It's happening February 3rd and 4th. It's a disabled parking spot. I can't park there. February 3rd and 4th, 3 and 4 in Miami, Florida. You can get your ticket by going to workonyourgame.live. And the next step in my world, if you already got your ticket to my event, you already getting my text, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you get access to all my training materials, all my courses. That's again, Work on Your Game University, all one word, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you get access to all of my material, all my courses. That is the next step in your journey. Work on your game. Dre all day.